Hey guys, Motorcycle Mouse. So, as promised, I'm going to do a video, kind of like a Bible study, where I just kind of talk about my beliefs and some things I'm thinking, sort of as a different type of vlog. I'm not going to be driving right now, I'm parked. The first one I want to cover, first thing I want to cover is spiritual warfare. And the reason I want to cover that first is some of you guys know that I was a combat medic. So, that all got started because of my religion and because of my beliefs. Um, Originally, becoming a combat medic, I didn't want to be a medic. I just wanted to join the military because I felt like it was what I needed to do. It was prophesied over me that I would be a warrior in Christ. And I was like, okay, what does that even mean? And I went home and I prayed about it. And I said, God, okay, show me how, show me why, if this is really what you want. And a few days later, I saw uh, something weekend warrior, something like that for the National Guard, and I walked up to him, told him I wanted to join. It was that easy. And a few days later, I was at the military entrance processing station, and I was joining. I did really good on the test, and they said, "Do you want to be a medic?" I originally told them no. They asked why, and I said, "Well, I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I know, medics are just getting shot at. I want to actually fight." And they said, "Well, not anymore. That's called trying to earn medals. We don't do that anymore. You first kill the bad guys, then you take care of your soldiers." And they were correct in that. So, that being said, spiritual warfare and physical warfare are extremely close. And the first thing I want to explain is the power of your words. You have the power to both give yourself blessings and curses by what you say over your life. Um, you can listen to someone's words for you, them speaking blessings, and you can say, okay, I accept that. Or you can push that away. The same thing with curses. You can talk curses over yourself. You can say, I'm an idiot. I always do these things. And you know what? You're always going to do those things because you are speaking curses over your life, um, the same as you do blessings. You can speak blessings over your life just the same as you can do curses. So, with that being said, a lot of Christians speak curses over their lives without even realizing what they're doing. And that when they talk about spiritual warfare and they say, we're at war and we're going to war and blah blah blah, and in spirit, and they're talking spiritually and physically sometimes. But spiritually, when you're talking about going to war, speaking that over yourself, you're declaring war. You are declaring it. And the first thing I would ask is, are you prepared to go to war? Anybody can go to war. Any fool can go to war. Um, there was a movie line that I like that says, I think it was Zorro, where he said, he was fixing to attack a guy, and his master, his trainer said, "You would have fought valiantly and bravely, but you would have died quickly." That's a lot about how Christians are, especially new Christians. Not knocking new Christians, but new Christians have a tendency of speaking things over themselves when they're new, as far as spiritual warfare goes, and they speak these things over themselves because they're new, they're pumped up, and at that point they haven't learned to doubt really yet, which is a good thing sometimes. But they think they can take on their own addictions, they can take on their own past, and just by it's I'm fired up and it's me, and they declare war, and that's the reason you have a lot of new baby Christians falling to the wayside and becoming casualties. Soldiers train constantly for war, constantly. Literally, we eat, sleep, and breathe our training. As a medic, I ate, slept, and breathe medical training, and the regular training. Because as a combat medic, you do combat first, then medic second. You kill the bad guys first, then you worry about the injured. Um, Not just a few hours on Sunday, and that's a lot of where Christians go long, as they train for war just for a few hours on Sunday, and then they go out and they fight a war all week long, but they've only been training on it since, just a few hours each Sunday, and that is not enough to prepare yourself for war. Real quick, if this cuts out, I'm going to be doing this in segments, so if it cuts out, I'll upload the next segment next, because I don't know how much video space I have on my phone. I'm recording this on a phone, not my normal camera. So, some lessons from war. Without a weapon, you're a liability. So if I told you, Joe Schmo, without any training, hey, go fight ISIS. First of all, you're not trained, so you would die very quickly. Secondly, if you don't have a weapon, you're just going to go get captured. You're going to go become a casualty. Your weapon, in the spiritual sense, is the word. And if you don't know how to use that weapon, if you don't know how to use the word, what blessings to speak over yourself and how to renounce curses pretty much, then you are going to war without a weapon. You're just charging in with nothing. There are two things you never go to war without. One is a weapon. Two is friends with weapons. So that being said, the military, we have what's called a battle buddy. In the military, you're trained to never go anywhere without your battle buddy. And your battle buddy is at least one other person, a partner. For liability reasons, for if you went out and you got hurt, then someone else is there. Someone's there to collaborate what actually happened. You have fire support. You can't always be watching your six or watching your rear, watching your butt, whatever you want to call it. So having a battle buddy is something that the military has in place, basically for protection, for survivability. So if you don't have a friend that is also of your beliefs, to watch your back, to keep you accountable, then you're going to war without a weapon and without a battle buddy with a weapon. So it's not just having a battle buddy, it's also having a battle buddy that is also trained on that weapon, which is being trained in the word. Basic training in the military. Basic training beats you down. You hear a lot of people say, they break you down and then they build you back up. That's not true. They break you down. And they break you down and they break you down and they just keep breaking you down. You learn to build yourself back up under any circumstances, and that's what they're looking for. If you can't be that person to build yourself back up under any circumstance, then they weed out the weak that way. That's what basic training is for. At least it used to be. It's been 10 years since I went through basic training, but that was what they did. They just broke you down, 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 sleep deprive you, nutrition deprive you. You just become moody and weak and tired, and you have to learn from that position, from your lowest point, how to build yourself back up. And in the military they say false motivation is still motivation. Well, that's the same thing. Even if I feel tired, I'm going to pretend to be motivated, and that will eventually actually make me motivated. You have to be that way as a Christian. Even in the hard times, you pull out that word, you pull out your weapon, and you use your weapon. Even if you are tired, even if you're broken, even if you're going through hardships, if you're going through, spiritual battles, you still, no matter what, 80% of being cool is looking cool. So you keep fighting, you keep motivating yourself, you keep motivating others, which is why you have a battle buddy. Because when you get in those slumps and you're depressed and you feel like I can't go on, you got a battle buddy there that's going to pick you up and say, hey, you're not done yet, keep pushing. Also, you have to have a clear mission and know your enemy. This is a big deal. You can't just go out on a mission and it just be, hey, just go out there. There's always a mission. There's always criteria that comes before that mission. Reconning, doing reconnaissance, doing a route plan. First you receive the mission, then you issue a warno. Make a tentative plan, look at a map, look at aerial reconnaissance. There's all kinds of stuff that actually goes into a mission, and we'll get more in depth in this. But a big part of being on a mission is knowing what that mission is. Everyone from the top down in the military knows what that particular mission is. When you go on a mission, before you go on a mission, they're going to tell you the mission and exactly how we're going to do that mission, and then they're going to back brief everyone. They're going to say, hey, Patterson, tell me what time we're departing. And if that guy doesn't know, then we restate everything. And this is a good, sometimes an hour, 2 hours long mission statement. And if you didn't pick up that one thing that they wanted you to know, then they're going to start all the way back over and go back through it. So very important that you know what your mission is. You can't just go out, I'm going to go slay the devil. Well, how? What's your mission? Are you trying to become stronger in whatever it is, an addiction that you can, get your battle buddy to help you with? Are you trying to get one of the gifts of the Spirit? Are you trying to become better at something? Whatever it is, you know that's your mission, that's what you're working on. You don't just go out and just, I'm a Christian and I'm just going to go out and attack the devil. That's not how it works at all. As a medic, as a Christian, there are going to be casualties. It's a war. There have been casualties. If you die, if you've gone through your life and you die and you haven't won that war, so to speak, you became a casualty. And so there's proof right there. There's been plenty of people that died never knowing God, only doing evil, and they became casualties. Also, you have people that you think are really strong Christians and they get knocked down to the knees and they just never get back up. So having it in your head that yes, there's going to be casualties. You can't put all of your trust in one person. Trusting a pastor, trusting a deacon, whatever you have, a youth minister, whatever it is, if you put all your eggs in that person's basket and you trust that one person, they're going to fail you. That's just human nature. We all make mistakes. We all mess up. There is going to be casualties because it's a war, and the enemy is always trying to attack you. Courage doesn't mean that you aren't afraid. There's been plenty of times that I was afraid that I was going to die, that I was fixing to get shot, that we were getting blown up, we were getting ambushed. There's been plenty of times where all of my guys thought, this is it, we're going to die. But they were courageous, and they kept doing what they had to do. They kept fighting. They kept doing their job because they were courageous. That's the difference between a coward and someone who's brave. It isn't lack of fear. Everyone has fear. Everyone doesn't want to die a painful death, but you just keep going. So courage doesn't necessarily mean you're not afraid. It's what you do when you are afraid. Good soldiers train the next generation. So as a soldier, as you come up through the ranks, one of your main jobs is to train the next generation on your job, on your past experiences, using your past experiences to teach them what you know, and the tactics you know. You make sure that the next generation coming up, so that when you get out, you have an experienced military, even if you haven't been at war. America hasn't, contrary to popular belief, we haven't always been at war. We always train for it. We're always good at some. We tend to be the police of the world and stop tragedies wherever they go, ISIS and things like that. In the past, we would have gotten into that a lot quicker than we have this time. Everyone in the military has a specific skill. In the Army, we call it a MOS, a military occupational specialty. So for me, it was being a medic. Some people are engineers, some people are infantry, you got snipers, everyone has their specific job that they do. The same thing in the spiritual world. You might have prayer warriors. Everybody has their specialty, that they're something that they're good at, that you should not just keep that skill to yourself, but you train everybody. If I'm going to go on a mission and I'm going to a place I've never been before, one guy, I might be teaching people, I might be the medical expert, but I'm going to teach everybody the basics of being a medic. If you're the navigation guy, you're going to teach everybody the basics of navigation. If you're the radio guy, then you're going to teach everybody the basics of the radio, so that if you get killed, I know how to still operate that radio, the basics of it. I may not know how to break it apart and how to fix it back together if something goes wrong. I may not know that, but I know the basics of how to work that radio, so that if you get hurt, I can call in air support, I can call in backup, whatever I've got to do. Well, the same thing in the spiritual world. You may be really good at one thing, but not be good at another thing. You can cross-train with someone where you teach them your skills and they teach you their skills, and you build each other up. And that's what makes an effective military. That's why the U.S. is so good at being war fighters that like we are, is because we don't just stick to our lane, stay in our lane sort of thing. We teach other soldiers our specialties. Let's see, that goes back to fruits of the Spirit. Not everyone is a leader, but everyone can be useful. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians sort of thing. But everyone can be useful. Even a new Christian that's brand new to it, well, they're encouraging because they tend to be very headstrong and very motivated, whereas you might have been in church your whole life and you've been beat down and you've seen hypocrisy and you've seen hypocrites that say, do this, but then you see them do something else. that sort of thing. Everyone has a usefulness. Everyone has something they can teach you. So learn from everyone. Prolonged war wears you down. And sometimes you need a break from that. Sometimes you need to back off. You can't always be declaring war over yourself. In the military, we have what's called an AAR, after action review. And at the end of every engagement or training exercise afterwards, we step back away from it and we say, okay, what was the mission? Okay, did we complete that mission? What were the objectives? Did we complete those objectives? What's 3 things we can do better, and what's 3 things that we should sustain that we did really good on? As a Christian, you have to do the same thing. Each day you have to say, okay, what did I do good today, and what can I improve on? What did my church do good? What can my church improve on? And you don't just leave that on the shoulders of the people higher up above you. The main reason that I'm doing this video is because I hear a lot of Christians that don't know anything about war or warfare or tactics speak of spiritual warfare like it's something they're just speaking over themselves and speaking over the congregation. You know nothing about war. You know nothing about, other than some of the veterans of the church. They know what they're talking about because they know what they're about to get themselves into. They know what they're praying over themselves. A soldier trains and trains and trains and trains. And once you've been that person that trains and trains and trains and trains, you want to fight. You want to go fight a war. You want to help people. And the reason being, it's like being a football player. If I train football, and I practice and I practice and I practice and practice and never get in a game, never actually play a game, you feel like you just did all that for nothing. But God has called all of us to